There's a lot of men out there who literally will hone on, oh, she's not submissive, she's not humble, she's not respectful, she's this, she's that. But meanwhile, they're the ones who checked out, ran off, left them with the kids, working 2, 3 jobs to survive. And you say, oh, she's too masculine. Really?
One day I'm coming home and I pulled into the driveway. I have a trainer, and instead of working out in the morning, I worked out after work. And I come home and it's like 7:30. He goes, where were you? I go, we had 2 small kids standing there in the garage. I said, I went to the gym. I told you I was going. He goes, I have a meeting. Look at my 20 to 8. Where you have a meeting? Linda, just leave me alone. And he leaves. So I'm trying. I know something's up now. What do I do? So I wash my kids, I bathe them, I read them the 50 books to get them to sleep. I take a shower, I put my little loungy pajamas on, I'm laying in bed. It's like 10 o'clock. And I said, I know exactly where he is. I'm going. So I get in my car like it was like on automatic. I was possessed. My kids were sleeping. I left my kids sleeping alone. They were really sleeping. I drove the car I drove my car like 5 minutes away. And all the windows are shut. It's a ground floor condo. This is when it gets really funny. And I'm in my flip-flops and my Victoria's Secret loungies. And I go around the back. All the master bedroom is there. The windows are shut. But it was like those horizontal slats. And one of the slats on the top was bent. I go, shoot, I can get it. I shimmy up 8 feet. Okay? 8 feet up, because the condo had 2 walls that came out, cement. I was able just perfectly, with a little spread eagle, like an urban ninja, up the wall. And I get up there and I look in that slat. And it was like I couldn't peel my eyes off it. There was a porno tape on. And there's my husband on top of this woman, okay, having sex. And I jumped down and I landed like 2 feet on my both feet. I was like really proud of myself. I went into my car and I bawled my eyes out. Like, what is going on here? And then it was like the angel on my right shoulder. You need to go in there. No, you don't. You need to go home to your kids. And like, I'm having this internal argument. You ever have those situations?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And it's like 2 parts of you were talking, and it was like I went from hysterical crying to just like very calm. Then I heard these voices like, go in. And I picked up my keys and I walked in, and I walked right by the kitchen, and I walked right back to the master bedroom, and there they are. And I lean on the door frame, and like 30 seconds goes by, maybe 20 seconds or something. And then she spots me and she taps him, and he looks over, he goes, how'd you get in? I go, does it matter? I'm here to the party now. Right? Nobody moves. I take a step in. I said to her, I go, she was just the flavor of the day. She wasn't my choice of wrath. He was. So I said, do you know he has a wife and 2 kids home? With this, she pushes him off. I said, if I was you, I'd get your ass right out of here. She thought, I'm probably some psycho, right? She grabs all her stuff, runs naked out of the condo. She gets up, and underneath her is a towel, a bloody towel. So she didn't lose her maidenhood. Let's just be honest. Okay. So he had no protection on. Like, what the hell was I exposed to now? Right. So something happened to me. I basically snapped. I grabbed the towel. Now he's stoned to the bejesus. And I proceeded Scorpio, Sicilian, it all came out. You know how like the Tasmanian devil moves around something and attacks? And well, that was me. I don't know what happened. I beat him with the towel. And then once I got him down, I think I was kicking him. But I don't remember anything else until my body could no longer move. I was completely out of breath. And then I stopped. Then the superlatives started coming out of my mouth. I mean, I called him some obscenities that I never would have linked together, that just came out of my mouth. And then I just said to him the last words, you're the biggest effing disappointment of my life. And I walk out. Drive home like a bat out of hell, and run in to check my kids. They didn't move. Thank God. Now, what time is it? 11:30. I'm psyched. I'm so upset. Call my parents. No, So I start pacing. pacing the house. I wound up in the garage, grabbed the hefty garbage bags, and I start all his clothes, the ties, the suits, all the crap I bought him into a hefty bag. Drag it out. 3 hefty bags, emptied all his drawers. I was crazed.
Statistics shows that there's less and less women who are choosing to be housewives. Reason being that as we all observe the social economic status of the world evolve over time, as we observe the world evolve, and by the way, the world evolving and a lot of men not evolving in their mindset concerning the roles of women in the household, especially when it comes to marriage, when it comes to money, when it comes to entitlement to body, entitlement to having kids with a woman, entitlement to control, and all the things in between. By the way, today's video is gonna center on choosing to be a stay-at-home mom and the ramifications financially that can happen, and the statistics that surrounds that, especially if that man decides to switch up on you, if that man decides to switch up and go be with another woman, if that man decides to cheat, if that man decides to bring you STI, if that man becomes a nightmare, if all of a sudden you change your mind to not be stay-at-home mom anymore and he's not on board because he's happy with you being a maid, an unpaid maid, and your services are easier for him to have because you're free. You're just there to have boarding for the most time if you're not a woman who's advocating for yourself to get paid on a monthly basis with an agreed upon amounts that you have assigned, and you're just chucking it up to get it incentivized, when he wants to or how much he wants to, or however. Yes, maybe he's paying all the bills, but how about you? How about your needs? Do you have to go to him when you need, let's say, to do your hair? You gotta go get paid. You gotta go beg him to give you that money, especially if he switches up, he finds another woman, now all of a sudden he's sending his money to that woman rather than being focused on you and the children at home. Now you're gonna be chasing tails because you can't guarantee that a human being would not change on you. Okay, there are some that don't, but there's a good majority of men that do these things, that become manipulative, controlling, demeaning to the woman they are. And a lot of women, stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home women, will be silent about it because of the shame that comes with it. They don't disclose how much suffering they have to put up with, especially when it comes to finances. Gina Tremacy here. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Welcome to my channel. Thank you. Like and share, follow for more. There's a huge statistics that shows that there's many more women getting college degrees now than ever before. Where back in the days, a lot of men will marry women just so they can fulfill carrying on, with having children, their name, through having their children, legacy, building legacy, having more hands on deck to, back in the days, farming was most like, decades ago, that kind of mindset where there was no feminine movement, so women can have more right, women can have equal, pay in the work field, when women can go to college, can have credit cards, when women can have access to different things, when women can actually have a seat at a table, when women can climb the ladder, academically and professionally, and rub shoulders with men, where slowly there's destigmatization around women who are ambitious or wanting to have their ambitions be known, and that shame around, oh my God, you're too masculine, and becoming a little less and less. But there's still a lot of narrative around, oh my God, you're too much. Oh my God, you're not humble and you're respectful. Why are you too masculine? Why are you too manly? Why do you want to be da 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 da? What's wrong with you? That kind of narrative. But, watching the statistics increase and increase with the pay gap closing is nice to see, because you cannot guarantee your future and bargain that, because we've seen what it has done to friends, to aunties, to our mothers, to our grandmothers over the years. You've seen it. But at least when you have a source, when you center yourself, even when you're a housewife, right? Making sure you're getting paid for it, investing in yourself, investing that money, saving for retirement. I've seen a lot of people in retirement homes, especially when I used to work as a nurse in retirement homes, where because of the gap, because of this type of things that they didn't wake up on when they were younger, they found themselves in really precarious positions as women, where now they have to solely depend on their children for financial upkeep. And who want to find themselves in that kind of scenario where they're not paying for their nursing home fees, where they lose their homes because all of a sudden the man passes away, or the man switches up is with another family? Because when men switch up, sometimes they just switch up not from the woman, but they switch up from the children too. They divorce you and divorce the children. So this is why I say all the time, especially Ghanaian women, African women, make sure if you are home taking care of the children solely and you're not working, don't just live it like, oh yeah, I'm always well taken care of. But the back end for you, your today and your future needs to be secured. Center yourself. Okay, your certification. Continue to work on your certification. So if anything should happen, you don't find yourself wanting and fragile and vulnerable. And make sure at least also checking STIs, because a lot of these men be playing.
So this is my best friend. I relied on her for everything. There was 3 of us. I had another best friend, and it was just us 3 together. Like I said, because she was his best friend's girlfriend, we spent so much time together. And she helped me plan the funeral. She came with me to visit the priest. We picked music together of what he was going to have, and she really involved herself in that time. I remember the hearse coming round and seeing the flowers with Daddy on the day of the funeral, and obviously I was crying, I was upset, but she was really upset, and I was thinking, God, they must have been really good friends. At this point, there are rumours flying around, and I remember the first time that I'd heard this rumour, we'd gone for a few drinks, like trying to take my mind off it, and another friend that I knew said, well, this rumour's going around, and my best friend got so upset. She was really upset, and I remember saying to her, that's absolutely ridiculous. And you'd know that when I get his phone back from police, well, it's going to be in there, so there's just no way, you wouldn't be that stupid. And she was so convincing. She was like, exactly, I'm so upset that people would think this of me. At this time, the police were asking me, did I know his password? I was saying that I didn't know his password. I actually didn't, because he would change it all the time, which is another red flag, which I shouldn't have let go. But he used to say that his friends will get hold of his phone and they'll take pictures and just do silly stuff on it. This was a grown man at the time, and I believed him. I did, however, know his Apple ID and login. And I didn't want to tell the police that, because I thought that that was my right, it was my property, I was next of kin, and I didn't want them wiping anything. I wanted my own answers, and I wanted to find out what happened myself. So at this time I had really complicated feelings, because obviously I'd found out he'd been cheating on me, he'd been having an affair for 2 years behind my back, and I had no idea. This woman just lived on the other side of town, and I had no idea about her whatsoever. She knew everything about me and had been stalking me for 2 years, and I had no clue. When I eventually looked at her Instagram, it was exactly the same as mine. It mirrored mine in exactly the same way. She would do things that I would do, such as bake cakes, make pelmets. She'd based her entire personality on me, and I had no idea. I did, however, still give him a lovely funeral and a lovely send-off, and was still very respectful of him at that point, because I did still love him. Obviously, I never got to confront him about what he'd done to me. So it was very, very complicated, mixed feelings for me. life went on, and 3 months later I met another man who is a whole other story. He was my saviour, everything that I needed, and I felt that I had no loyalties to my husband anymore because he'd just done me so dirty, basically. It was kind of a gift that I did. I felt that I could move on quicker. I would never have moved on had I not known what he was doing. But it was like a parting gift that he gave me in a way that made it a bit easier for me. 3 months later, I then get his phone back from the police. I turned it on, and I started scrolling through all the messages, and one of the messages that came up was from my best friend. When they were going to poker every Thursday, they were meeting up and doing things in the car, behind his best friend's back and my back also. This had been going on for months. I carried on scrolling, I looked through some other messages. The next message that I found was where he'd been meeting up with a girl who was my son's friend's mum. She had done my hair for my wedding, so she was also a friend and acquaintance, somebody who would be friendly with me, and she was also meeting up with him. Another girl was his business partner's daughter, who we had just been on a big holiday with as a big group, and her husband was also his friend, and she was also somebody that I would have considered a friend. I then messaged my best friend and just told her never to speak to me ever again, and I walked away, and she just said, "I'm sorry," and that was that. And to this day, I've never ever had it out with her. I've never had closure with any of them. I've never really been able to ask them why they did that, but they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I would never do that to another woman, and I think that if you do that behind another woman's back, with a man that you know is married, with a man you know has a family, has children, you are nothing but a scumbag. The betrayal and the pain that I felt was indescribable. But as sad as this is to say, it kind of gave me an out, because I think when people unalive themselves, people around them, especially their family, their friends, they look for somebody to blame. They want to have a reason. Sometimes there is no reason. And people would have blamed me had he not been doing what he was doing. I decided though that I was just going to move on with my life. I had 2 children to think about, and I had to remain dignified. I wasn't going to do anything that I regretted that was going to harm myself, harm my children. I just wanted to move on with my life, and it took me a long time to forgive him for what he did. I mean, I'm now 8 years down the line, 9 years down the line, nearly 9 years, and it's taken me to now really to start processing everything that I've been through, and grief has no timeline, and people go back for grief counselling years and years later because it doesn't hit them until years later. And like I said, because I met somebody quite quickly, we then got married, we had another child, I didn't really deal with it, and I'm only just dealing with it now. So that's my story. There is a lot more to the story, really, a lot more details that I could and probably will go into at some point. But I just hope that I can help people with this TikTok. It's taken me a long time to speak out about what I went through, and I just want to help other grieving mothers. My children are amazing, and I'd like to speak more on that and how you can help children who have been through the loss of a parent. And if you watch the whole thing, thank you for listening. I do appreciate it.
create you. You were created as a means of settlement for men. You belong to men. You are under men. When a man marries you, he owes you. You are just a help. You are not equal. Because your master cheated, you want to revenge. But come to think of it, who even brought the word cheating? There is no such thing as cheating for a man. Cheating is when you take what does not belong to you. When you defraud somebody. For me, cheating is when you, the woman, have an affair with another man. Because your partner paid your bride price. So another man having access to his property is stealing and cheating. He is taking another man's property. No woman who has self-worth and shame will ever do such. Your male partner does something, you call it cheating. How? You are his wife. He can marry as many wives as he wants. If your partner chooses to keep only you, be grateful to him. Appreciate it.
What type of men are least likely to cheat?
If you're in a relationship with one of these type of men, you're safe. Are you ready? If you've lived through infidelity, it is so heartbreaking, and so don't take this as science. Number 3, accountants. I think you're pretty safe with an accountant. I see a pretty common personality type. You should be good with no cheating with an accountant. Number 2, pharmacists. No cheating in pharmacy, even the lovely Walgreens pharmacy. Number 1, here we go. If you are married to or in a relationship with a farmer, I predict no cheating will occur.
I don't know if y'all know who Millionaire Mindsets is, but just search him up. Give him a follow. He has a very interesting topic going on right now. He had a video and it's doing numbers talking about how the providers of today are better than the providers of yesteryear, right? And I want to piggyback off of a few points that he made. And I've made some points like this before. I need y'all to understand. I'm not bragging, but my dad more than likely makes way more money than your dad. I was telling him how much money I was making from this TikTok today. And he was like, son, what are you talking about? I was like, a little relationship, slow that basketball, woo-de-woo. And I started telling him about the 50-50 arguments, how there's women who have jobs who feel as if whoever they're married to still has to pay all the bills. My dad, who is a very high earner, looked, face turned up like, what? No way, son. No way anybody believes that. And I was like, yes, sir, they do. And I just feel like there's a lot of women who don't understand that providers are set aside for the housewives. I don't know why anybody, I have a mutual, I forget her name. Very nice locks. That's what I always think about when I think about her. I'll tag her. She's a housewife, has been for a while. Her husband, very well off. They are very well off. Okay. She showed that garage one time. I said, Jesus Christ. Anyway, she talks about being a housewife and what it entails and X, Y, and Z. And those videos for her never blow up because it sounds like work. And when she explains all the things that she does for her household, that right there, I can fully agree with. If you're a woman and you have a guy who is a high earner, he's an excellent provider, you have to understand that your role needs to be just as important as his. You can make yourself just as important as the man who is paying all the bills and is providing this really nice life. You can. It's just not going to be this social media trad wife. It's going to be you managing bills, you having multiple children, you managing the house, you making sure he has something to eat. Always. If he always pays the mortgage and always pays the car note and always does everything he's supposed to, I don't care how mad he is, he gonna pay them bills, right? Right? The ebbs and flows of marriage. I'm married. I've been married for 5 years. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. I know that ain't shit to a lot of y'all. My parents been married for 30 years, right? But when we have these conversations and we talk about providers, y'all are almost never talking about being a housewife and managing a house. There are women on here who have full-blown degrees, full-blown nice incomes, and still talking about they need a man to pay all their bills. The providers are for the housewives. I vividly remember a video she made talking about how women who dog housewives, and they're these career women, right? When they get tired of working, they're like, girl, how did you do it? And she's like, it don't work like that. You got to have time in the game. Because people will look at her life now and be like, damn, she got it made. But they're not looking at everything she's been through and everything she's had to manage and all that. Just like somebody who's had a whole career and is built up to making this large income. You didn't see him when he was working 12 hours a day, only getting paid for 8. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying this with everything in my chest. The most loyal female attract the most toxic men. It's just the truth.
Stop telling men shit. I'm begging you, stop. Stop sharing your insecurities and vulnerabilities with them. Stop telling your family issues and family problems, work-related problems, your ex's history. If you've been abused and mistreated, do not tell them specifically if a man was involved. Don't share with them. I know you think at this moment he's being super empathetic and supportive and loving, but men do not have empathy for you. They can pretend for years that they do, but they do not. It's Oscar-winning performances. It's a performance. They don't feel empathy for you. And I know that this is such a difficult concept for women to understand and grasp and comprehend, because I had difficulty with it. I could not believe and accept that a human being can be evil to this extent. I always told myself there needs to be another explanation. No. He can't be like this, but he is like this. It only needs to happen enough number of times, in enough frequency for you to grasp the idea that they do not have empathy for you. They pretend in order to get information out of you, in order to use it at a later time. But because it is difficult for you to understand, I'm going to put it another way for you to comprehend it. He is empathetic and loving and supportive toward you at this moment right now. Now. He is not going to be the same empathetic, supportive, loving person in the future and forever. He's not. The moment he feels threatened, the moment there are arguments, the moment he dislikes you, the moment he thinks that you do not deserve his empathy anymore, the moment you dislike him, you have something on him, the moment he doesn't have the upper hand and you do, the moment he just decides that he doesn't love you and he doesn't want to be supportive toward you, he's going to go to his little drawer where all the files are that he keeps on everyone, because it's not just you. He's going to take out information and he's going to use it against you. He's going to throw it to your face. And you're going to just stand there in awe. Your jaw drops onto the floor because you cannot believe. Sometimes you not even remember sharing stuff like this with you. Because they have this mastery to catch you at this specific moment where you feel vulnerable. And they're like, they catch it. They get it. They get the information. Stop telling them your insecurities. I feel insecure about this part of my body. He didn't even pay attention. He didn't even see. Because men have no standards. They don't care. They don't care. And now that you've told him, he sees it. He knows that it's there. He's going to start hating it because you mentioned it. Something that didn't even exist to him before. Stop. Stop telling them. Stop giving out information. So that he can be abused later on. What's wrong with you? The fact that you're grown-ass adults and I have to tell you this is diabolical to me. Don't give them any information. If there is something that they can use it against you, even if there is something that it cannot be used later on because they create something out of it, don't tell them. Don't. Class dismissed.